good, man. How's everybody doing? All right. So coming off a bye week, obviously a very productive bye week for us, where you always try to get your team healthy, but you also try to get your team better. Okay, and in the areas that we focused, were everything from technique and fundamentals to game day processes. Schematically, what we're good at, what we're not so good at, tweaks, disguises, development, evolvements of our schemes, and some things maybe we just don't need to use anymore. But either way, I think we got better. We certainly got healthier, expecting Jalen Rivers back this week. He practiced with us last week and yesterday. And certainly an unbelievable opportunity for us, another conference game. And, what's going to be a tremendous environment, Schnellenberger Trophy at stake, as well as a lot of other things up in Louisville, Kentucky at noon this Saturday. So with that being said, questions, please.
You mentioned the trophy. I got two for you. You mentioned the Schnellenberger Trophy, and there's obviously bigger goals, but how neat is it that this guy who, God rest him, is gone, but he's going to forever mean so much to this place and Louisville and FAU too, just the impact he had. How much, A, does it bother you that he's not in the College Football Hall of Fame, and B, just how neat is it that he's immortal almost in these three markets?
Yeah, he needs to be in there sooner than later. I can honestly say it was my father's favorite guy. My dad was about as they can get, and didn't like many people. He loved Howard Schnellenberger and always envisioned my brother and I playing for Howard Schnellenberger. But at Miami, certainly, Coach Johnson my dad felt just as strongly about Coach Johnson. So his impact here, first and foremost, we know what it did, right? Changed everything forever. It changed the course of history for Miami and for college football. And then the impact certainly that he had at Louisville, that he had at FAU, and just for coaches around the country. You name it, he did it, and I refer to him as the Godfather for the right reasons, man. He was one of a kind and certainly very missed, but at the same time honored and revered because of all he did.
If I will have, Xavier did a TV interview late last week where he talked about a players only meeting. Teams that are 2 and 4 have those. Teams that are 3 and 3 have those. Teams that are 6 and 0 and ranked 6 in the country, it's rare that the players take it upon themselves to say we got to fix some stuff. How encouraging is that sign that they know that at 6 and 0 the job is a long way from over?
It's a natural progression of a team that's really working hard to reach a certain level of expectation that we have for ourselves. We have a leadership council meeting on a weekly basis, sometimes a couple times a week. Work with Dr. Kevin Elko, who was instrumental in helping Miami and different places. We started Alabama, we were at different stops, and it's encouraged and pushed that it become a player-led team, like true ownership, having complete and utter ownership of our actions, our choices, our decisions, how we practice, the intensity, the level of expectation for everything we do has to be 1-0. To stay restless in our pursuit for progress and getting better and winning. So it's the right thing. I trust that they did an awesome job. Practice yesterday was really, really good. And when you come off a bye week, the importance of practice and the importance of practicing with intensity, the importance of practicing fast with speed, good on good, is critically important, because even though you gained a lot of recovery time, you also missed out on play speed. And you better make up for it in the way you practice, and that started yesterday. We expect our best practice of the year tomorrow.
Mario, you said in your opening statement of you take the bye week also to get better. The past couple of games there were close calls, and obviously you guys were able to get out of it, but what have you learned from those close calls, games to not technically fall behind, and what did you learn from those two games together?
Yeah, no, great question. I mean, we, first and foremost, you take a real humble approach to the bye week, and you look in the mirror and you say, man, that ain't good enough. And if it's not good enough, win or a loss, it shouldn't be good enough, right? Regardless of that stuff. So I think first and foremost, technique and fundamentals stand out. Eye discipline, there were plays where we allowed explosive plays, particularly last game, and where most of the yardage given up were on explosive plays, and then the plays that we ran really well were really effective. And then on offense, kind of the same thing. When we were off from a technical, a communication standpoint, a fundamental standpoint, then we either gave the ball up or in the punting, and we haven't punted very much this year. So that stands out. We always go right back to coaching because you have to do that. You have to take it upon yourself. You have to take ownership as a coach, and you've got to make it a point that not to cover material, but to teach. Very big difference. You know, anyone can go out there and say, hey, we covered that in a meeting. Well, that's BS. Anyone can cover and blab. You got to teach it, and teaching means you're sharing in the learning process, right? And so we feel that we did a much better job getting to the nuts and bolts of what needs to get better. Again, I think the root of all improvement lies in elite teaching as it relates to the game itself, situational football technique and fundamentals. And we had a very detailed approach to that, and as well as an approach to developing more young talent and increasing the level of competition at each position to turn up and dial up, you know, the levels of urgency at those positions. So to speak, to eliminate or limit mistakes due to understanding that, hey, you know, there is no free pass. We all are expected to perform.
When it comes
Just
to
to follow up on that, I'm sorry, but just follow up of, you know, years past, coming off of bye week, it hasn't been great. There's been losses after that. How do you avoid that slow start to begin with coming off the bye week, even though I know you said you guys had great practice?
Well, we've been very successful at previous stops. At Miami, our last 2 years, we have not after bye weeks. And it's 1,000% related to the level and urgency of practice and preparation. There's a lot at stake on every game. Every game is a conference game. Every single conference game is a playoff game. Everybody's involved in playoff football right now. Everybody's alive. And because of that, you have to be at your very best, and you have to understand you're playing against very, very good players. So I think this group understands that much better than we have in the past. And the expectation is that we come out tomorrow and that we do have our best day of practice and preparation. Meetings, walkthroughs, and everything that goes with it, because there's no hocus pocus to it. You got to get right to what needs to be done to have success on Saturday.
what is it about this group that maybe, like you said, they understand it better, they understand the process. What is it about this group that maybe is different from the first 2 years you've been here?
Well, it's like anything else, and I think it's what, we live in a different world now. I mean, time, good people, hard work, those things have a really good track record, right? We don't like those things. The word development's like a nasty word in today's society because it takes time, you know? Well, over the last couple of years, we've been developing our culture, we've been developing our standards, our way of thinking and doing, where actions carry a lot more weight than words. And so I think all those things are much more meaningful. I think football, University of Miami football in particular, is really, really, really important to our guys, and they're starting to understand that you cannot compromise the things necessary to be successful on Saturday. If you start skimping on the details of preparation, if you start missing out on the finer points of practice and walkthroughs and eye discipline and assignments, well then you're gonna put yourself in a position where you're not gonna be happy with the results on Saturday. So a complete holistic understanding of that is getting better and better, but that process never ends. Human nature is what it is, and you've got to absolutely just get after it. Every single opportunity that you have to make sure that's at the urgency levels as it relates to that are at the top.
Can you quantify for us what it means to have Jalen Rivers back for the offense?
Yeah, he's, if you don't mind, he's an elite leader. He's the most versatile lineman that we have. I don't know if you guys know, he plays left, he plays right, he plays center. He's an excellent center as well. So you think about it, the last couple of weeks we've been down also a center. You know, thank God we haven't had an issue where that's had to come into play. He has seen so much ball. You know, a lot of our guys in helping us attain more progress in our program is we're playing guys that have seen and experienced a lot of football. Good and bad, situational football, schematic football, right? Pressure, stunts, blitzes and whatnot. Jalen's eyes have seen, he's a young man, he's got old eyes. Does that make sense? And so that, his leadership, his physicality, his toughness. That being said, I gotta point out Markel Bell has done a great job. And Markel Bell is gonna play. You know, he is not going to, he's earned the right to play. He's gonna keep playing, he's gonna keep developing. And he's done a great job, and he's gonna be a great player at the University of Miami.
Coach, what about Louisville stands out to you? You know, quarterback that you're familiar with, and a lot of guys on that team are key contributors, you know, from South Florida as well.
Yeah, well, Tyler Shuck was a quarterback for us at the University of Oregon in 20 and helped lead us to a conference championship. So I can speak very personally on behalf of him. A great competitor, great quarterback. He's big, strong, can run, sees the field extremely well, has a live arm and can make every throw, and is a super high level competitor. All right, awesome young man from an awesome family, and he's a natural leader. There are lots of guys on the team, some guys that are from the high schools here in South Florida, and some that were transfers. And there are lots of guys on both teams that were recruited by both schools. So naturally, those things always amp stuff up. But this thing is all about preparation. It's all about time poured in, investment poured in, preparing and practicing the right way, and making sure that we're focusing on making sure that we play our best football, because to get a win at a place like this against a team like this, you got to play your best.
Does it seem normal yet in that you've always seen kids that you've recruited on the other sideline, but now every week you're seeing kids that were either on your team or you coached or whatever in this free agency era? Does it seem normal yet that this is just going to keep happening?
No, that's a great question. It doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, we were playing a couple weeks ago, and Caleb Spencer was with us in spring practices, on a tackle for loss. We're preparing this week for a guy who I had the great fortune of coaching at a previous stop, and now he's at a different school, and he's doing a great job. So, man, it's moving fast. It really is. And so as you recruit and put a roster together, there's a lot to keep in mind, and you could have it perfectly right, and it still may not matter. There still may be a shift. There still may be an addition, there may be a subtraction, a departure, an arrival. It's, just keep working your butt off and focus on not only elite athletes, but elite people. And whether they come or go, you're gonna end up in a good place. So, no, it's not normal.
Totally different topic. Did you have any kids affected directly by anybody?
Well, lots of rain, lots of flooding, power out, and that kind of stuff. But everybody is okay.
From that side, the families came out okay.
Everybody came out okay, and I think people made plans accordingly, and we were on it and communicating. And for people that haven't gone through a hurricane, that could be frightening, right? I mean, for those of us that have been through some of the big ones, man, when that thing hits, I remember I used to try to get my mom to come out west and spend time with me, and she'd be like, I'm gonna play like dominoes and have a Cuba Libre, and just keep going. And so they're used to it, but I think for a lot of the new families, everybody stayed tight and communicated, and they were good to go.
Elijah Alston didn't play during Cal. He said he should be good for this week. Is that
He is good. He is. He took a shot on that play on the catch he had down in the red zone, and took a tremendous shot. And he was limited last week, but by Friday and by yesterday, he was practicing full go. So he's going to play.
Simeon Barrow seems like he's starting to find his stride over the last few weeks. Just what stood out to you about his progression since the season started?
He exploded. He played with physicality, he played with toughness, he played with effort, and I was communicating with him earlier today. That's the Simeon Barrow that we signed, and that's what we need to see every single week, just a better version every single week. He's an awesome young man, super talented, has an awesome future ahead of him, and for Miami to keep winning, we need him to play his best football all the time, and can't wait to see him play this Saturday.
How long did it take the team to come down from, and you got home at 11:30 in the morning, you're still on high, kids, the adrenaline was crazy for kids anyway. You win a game like that the way you did, those circumstances, that hour in the morning, when did it start to feel normal again around here?
Well, I mean, we got back at 11:30, right? We were, they had to sleep that day, but the next day, I mean, by noontime, they got to check in at breakfast. We got to check their body weights, make sure they're okay, make sure that medically that there are no issues. And then, in the afternoon, we got to get them to class. I know everyone's tired, but the world's going to keep turning. We got to do things. And by Tuesday, we got them moving, and the bodies were sore and a little bit junked up. But by Tuesday afternoon, it started feeling semi-normal. Wednesday, we went full throttle practice, and that really helped out a bunch. And we practiced again on Thursday. We were feeling good, and we had shifted our focus already to Louisville, and as well as the things we focused to get better at. The trip back certainly was more than the trip over. The trip that way was great. It was a 4.5 hour nap, and They got up with the extra day. We adjusted well, and but it was 6 straight weeks, and I think the adjustment and everything else has got us now back to normal.
Alright, is there a new level that's about to be basically unlocked? Let's say by week is done, you guys are getting into what people say the grittiness of the season. Is what's next for this team, knowing you guys are already undefeated now? Now the tough second half is set to begin.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's looking back. We don't let them. We don't want them to, because it means absolutely nothing. And everybody's on the same plane. If you put up conference standings, everybody's either 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 1-1, 2-1, and everybody's alive. And everybody will be mathematically alive for about till week 10, 11, and then there'll be another handful live all the way to the end. And the more you win, the more you control your destiny. So it's no surprise, and no one should be surprised that there's a ton, and really most games are coming down to the last possession or the final quarter, some of the final play. And you're also noticing that maybe a lot of games are sometimes lost more than one because of a turnover, a mistake, an error of some sort. So the quality and the detail of preparation now becomes that much more important, because everybody is fighting for their lives right now. And everybody's got to understand that if anyone loses sight of the urgency necessary to win right now, they're out of their minds and they don't understand football. Everyone's going to get everyone's best, because everyone has a chance. And that's why, we always felt that college football is the best sport in the world. It is. It's just intensity, energy, physicality, and everyone, all 11 against all 11 on every play for 180 plays a game. And man, that ball can bounce funny, but you always have a chance, So yeah, I think the levels of urgency are where they need to be, but they're going to be cranked up all week. And we need to have great days of practice to prepare for a great team, because they're really, statistically, they're top 20, top 15, and top 10 in just about every category, offensively and defensively. And they are very difficult to prepare for, so we have to take advantage of every minute we have to be ready to play our best.
With the bye-week recruiting efforts, how was the reception being out there? And did you notice a different buzz or momentum being a 6-0?
There's buzz in some of the unfamiliar places, but the places that we've always gone to, they're consistent. We were consistent from the day we arrived with our messaging, with our goals, and I think we've been accepted. We've been welcomed because we've done that, and because we've done well by the guys that we've brought into our program. We hold ourselves to our word, and we hold players to their word as well. So certainly, early progress and success has led to some opportunities that maybe haven't been around in a couple of weeks, and we expect more opportunities to come down the line. But we love being on the road, whether it be local or whether it be across the country, and we expect to sign another great recruiting class.
You're all on team director, Pat, and you demand the same from every other organization. We're in the second half of the season now, and individual word buzz is going to start. Cam, I'm sure, can handle it. How do you keep that from affecting anyone else? Yourself even included, because distractions are, people, you talk about a naughty word in coach speak, distractions are the thing. How do you not let that become?
Well, distractions are what you allow to become distractions, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it's like distractions are what, it's like the agent that's not like the physical agent, just the catalyst to not allowing yourself to do what you want to do, what you set out to do. And distractions are a choice. What we do for a living, it's surrounded by noise 24/7. And brother, if that affects you in any way, shape, or form, you gotta go do something else. Our guys have heard me say a million times, if it's not with you there at 5 a.m. working out, if it's not with you in the hospital when you're doing rehab after a surgery, if it's not there with you when, God forbid, you're going through those tough moments, then it has absolutely no bearing or no relevance to your mindset and what goes on between your ears. And the second half of the season, like the first half of the season, is all about what happens and what you allow to happen between your ears. I think everyone understands that we have a chance to be a special team. And we also understand that we have allowed ourselves in a couple areas of our processes to deteriorate and put ourselves in situations that, right, we were vulnerable, right? And so the expectation, what we have seen in those last couple days of practice last week, we saw a team that's determined to get better. And the teams that could get better in October and November, right? That's kind of like rounds 11 through 15 in the heavyweight fights. That's going to separate the men from the boys. And we're committed to that.
I was just to see if you guys are having fun. There was a picture of you in the locker room with the guys, and they're carrying you. I know the work is
That was
still
photoshopped, I think.
It was AI. You know, just kind of seeing that in general, the camaraderie that you guys are building, knowing that you guys are still putting in the work week after week. Is there fun in all of this as you guys get ready for another tough match on Saturday?
Oh, there's a lot of fun in it. I think these guys, this is the most fun I've had coaching. Like, there's special years that stand out, you know, and this is one of those years, and we're just getting started, you know. There's a lot more to, but these guys have discovered that the most fun is winning, you know. I've never had fun getting my butt kicked, you know. But when a lot of guys work really, really hard, and when they see validation of their hard work, resulting in not only wins but performances and improvement, and some of their teammates getting better and better, I think you know, that almost launches you to another level of effort and want to, because validation of hard work usually leads to more hard work and more commitment and more belief. So you're seeing that, and I think you know, whenever you have to, whether you win by 1 or whether you win by 40, you got to celebrate those things. It's hard to win, and you see it around the country every single week, the surprises, both good and bad. So this is a team of like awesome young men. These guys are legitimate. Just, I mean, they're young men on their way to some great things. They're committed. They've done the work in the off season. They've done the work in the preseason. They've done the work the first 6 weeks, and now we've got to turn it up even more. So they deserve to have fun too, and we try to do our best to make it fun.
Great. Thank you.
Okay.